There is a river that flows through the valley. It does not shout, and yet it carves mountains. Have you ever wondered, why does kindness sometimes feel like a burden? When did your peace begin to feel like permission for others to cross your boundaries? A tree does not apologize for the space it takes as it grows toward the sun. So why do we bend, break, and become smaller just to be accepted? This is not a call to stop being kind. It is a reminder to stop abandoning yourself in the name of kindness. Like the mountain unmoved by the winds of change, true strength begins not in action, but in stillness. Before the storm arrives, there is silence. Before the arrow is released, there is a moment of perfect stillness in the hand that holds the bow. It is in that pause, in that quiet space between stimulus and response, that the real warrior awakens. In Shaolin philosophy, we are taught that the body may move swiftly, but the mind must remain still, like a lotus floating on the surface of a lake, even as the waters stir beneath. It is not a passive stillness, not the stillness of sleep or withdrawal. It is a presence, an alert calmness that does not rush to react, but instead waits, breathes, and sees. Most people in the world confuse speed with power, but among those, power without awareness is chaos, and awareness only arises from stillness. Observe your own life. How often do you speak before listening, act before breathing, judge before understanding? In those moments, the mind is like a shaken jar of muddy water. The more we stir, the less we see. But when we place the jar down, allow the movement to settle, the mud falls and clarity returns. So it is with the mind. In stillness, the truth becomes visible. There is a discipline in not reacting, in not allowing your emotions to hijack your voice, your decisions, or your peace. Stillness is the space where emotion loses its grip. You observe the anger, but you do not become it. You hear the fear, but you do not deny these emotions. But we do not serve them either. They rise, we bow to them, and let them pass like clouds across the sky. In modern life, people confuse movement with meaning. Always doing, always responding, always chasing the next word, the next task, the next opinion. But the one who can be still amidst noise, this one carries power. Because they are not moved by impulse, but by intention. Their energy is not scattered outward, but gathered inward. Stillness is not weakness, it is containment. A coiled spring holds more potential than a loose wire flailing in all directions. When we learn to pause, we reclaim our choices. We stop running from discomfort and start learning from it. That moment of silence before we speak, before we act, that is where transformation begins. It is the ground from which all strength grows. So the next time life presses you, before you react, breathe. Observe the space between the trigger and the reaction. Feel the urge rise and do not follow it. Just sit, let it pass. You will begin to notice the clarity grows, your choices sharpen, and in this pause, you return to yourself. You are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them. As water gives life to all things, yet even the river does not forget its edges. It flows with grace, but never loses itself. In this way, your kindness must know its shape. When you are endlessly giving without direction, your compassion becomes like spilled water, wasted, absorbed, disappearing into the cracks of those who may not even see its value. But the flower does not shrink just because another tree needs more light. Shaolin teachings remind us that compassion must include oneself. If it excludes your own peace, your own needs, your own sacred space, then it is not true compassion. It is a habit of self-abandonment dressed in the clothing of virtue. You must ask gently, am I being kind because it flows from truth Or am I being kind because I fear rejection, disapproval, or conflict? There is no only awakening. To be kind is not to be endlessly available. It is to be fully present when your heart says yes, and courageously silent when it says no. Kindness without awareness can become servitude. When you say yes while your spirit whispers no, you split yourself. Slowly, silently, you disappear beneath the weight of everyone else's needs. That is not peace, that is forgetting. Buddhism teaches balance, the middle way, not indulgence, not deprivation, but harmony. So too must your kindness find its center. Let it be offered from fullness, not from fatigue. Let it rise like a cup overflowing, not a well running dry. Boundaries are not barriers, they are the invisible rivers that guide your compassion toward what nourishes and protects. A monk knows this well. Without boundaries, even silence can become noise. You do not need to explain your limits to be valid. You do not need to defend your rest, your solitude, your refusal to participate in what drains you. In stillness, there is wisdom. In boundary, there is clarity. Every no, rooted in self-respect, makes room for a deeper, truer yes. Do not wait for others to understand your worth. Recognize it within and allow your actions to mirror it. So ask yourself, not with judgment, but with softness. Where have I poured too much? Where have I stayed silent to keep peace that isn't real? Where have I confused disappearing with love? These questions are not easy, but they are the doorway back to your center. You do not serve others by disappearing. The bamboo rises, tall and hollow, bending with the wind yet never breaking. It does not seek approval from the forest. It simply fulfills its nature. In the same way, the path of self-mastery is not paved by the desire to be liked, but by the discipline to remain true. But in Shaolin tradition, we are not trained to perform. We are trained to return to what is real again and again, even in the face of rejection. Pleasing others is a subtle form of seeking safety. We tell ourselves that if we say yes enough, if we smile enough, if we bend without complaint, then perhaps we will be loved, or at least left in peace. But this habit is not peace. It is a cage of our own making. The more we live to be accepted, the further we drift from our center. A person who lives to please becomes like a leaf in the wind, tossed about by every passing breeze of opinion, every whisper of disapproval. In Shaolin, discipline is not a rigid rule, it is a quiet honoring of one's past. It is the ability to say, "This is my truth and I will not abandon it, even if I stand alone." Discipline allows the monk to rise before the sun, to sit in silence while the world rushes by, to train the body while the mind remains still. And this same inner discipline is what protects us from the trap of always pleasing, always yielding, always fading. There is great gentleness in this teaching, though it may sound stern, for it is not about shutting others out, it is about not shutting yourself down. True discipline does not mean hardening your heart. It means keeping your heart steady even when it is tested. You can be kind without being submissive. You can be loving without losing your voice. The Shaolin monk bows to all but kneels to none. This is not arrogance, it is inner alignment. When you live by discipline instead of pleasing, you stop reacting to the opinions of the world. You begin responding to the rhythm of your own breath, the wisdom of your own being. Decisions are no longer based on how others will view you, but on what honors your soul. This is not always easy. You may be misunderstood. You may lose those who only value the version of you that served their comfort. But in return, you gain something unshakable: your integrity. So sit quietly and ask yourself, where have I said yes just to avoid discomfort? Where have I performed kindness just to be seen as good? Where have I placed the weight of my worth into someone else's hands? The one who learns to live with awareness, not approval, begins to walk freely. Do not trade your peace for praise. The sword that never cuts grows dull, not because it lacks strength, but because it forgets its purpose. In the same way, a life without clear refusal becomes directionless. Saying no is not aggression, it is clarity. It is the gentle assertion of where you end and where the world must not pass without permission. In Shaolin practice, we do not use the word no with harshness. We use it like a gate, not to shut others out, but to guard the sacred ground within. To know when to stop, when to rest, when to refuse. That is not selfishness, it is self-awareness. Many people carry an inner fear that saying no will make them unloved, that refusal will be seen as rejection. But Buddhism teaches us that attachment to approval is one of the roots of suffering. We cling, we concede, we comply, just to hold onto the illusion of harmony. But what is the value of harmony if it comes at the cost of our own truth? The river may yield around the stone, but it does not stop its flow. You too can be kind without surrendering your path. The practice of saying no is not about resisting others, it is about respecting yourself. Every time you say yes when your body tightens, your breath shortens, your spirit hesitates, you lose a little piece of yourself. It is a quiet erosion and it accumulates. Over time, your days are filled with obligations, your energy scattered, your presence diluted. Shaolin wisdom teaches us to sharpen the inner blade, not to cut people down, but to cut away what no longer serves. Saying no is the act of clearing the path. It is sweeping the leaves from the steps of your temple. It is making space for what truly matters. Do not fear the discomfort that comes with refusal. It is a small price to pay for alignment. Silence may follow, distance may follow, but peace will always follow. Observe your life. How many yeses have been spoken from fear rather than freedom? How often have you accepted something not because it was right, but because you were afraid to draw the line? There is a gentle power in the monk who bows deeply to life, but stands firm in their silence when the time for no has come. This is not coldness, it is wisdom. The wisdom that your energy is not infinite, that your time is not a coin to be spent on every hand held out. To say no with peace is to reclaim the rhythm of your own life. It is to move from reflex to response, from guilt to groundedness. You do not need to explain every boundary, you only need to honor them with consistency. Like the quiet mountain trail, well marked but seldom loud, your path becomes clearer with each step of intention. Every no is a step deeper into your truth. The plum tree blossoms in winter, not to be admired, but because that is its nature. It does not wait for approval from the season. It simply expresses what is true. In the same way, authenticity is not something we try to become. It is what we return to when we stop trying to be everything else. And yet so many live behind masks, gentle smiles that conceal exhaustion, polite words that hide discomfort, agreeable silence that buries truth. But niceness, when performed to avoid conflict, is a quiet betrayal of the self. In Shaolin practice, every movement must be aligned. The hem, the breath, the sword. Each must follow the same rhythm. If one part moves without truth, it weakens the whole. And so it is in life. When you speak what others want to hear but not what you feel. When you stay to keep peace but your spirit wants to leap. Niceness becomes a habit of disconnection. It may bring you praise, but it will not bring you peace. There is a subtle violence in always pretending to be fine, in always offering warmth when you feel cold inside. The Shaolin monk does not raise his voice, but neither does he silence his truth. He speaks softly, but clearly, without force, without fear. Authenticity is not about being loud, it is about being real. It's the courage to be seen without decoration, the discipline to live in harmony with your inner world, even if the outer world misunderstands you. Many fear that authenticity will make them less loved. But love built on performance is not love. It is a transaction. And the cost of that transaction is often your own well-being. When you live authentically, not everyone will stay, but the ones who do will meet you, not the mask. And that is a sacred connection. That is worth the solitude that may come before it. So reflect gently. Where have you polished your words to be accepted? Where have you quieted your needs to be liked? Where have you played small to avoid making others uncomfortable? Each of these moments matters. Each is a step away from your center. And yet in each moment, you can choose again. Choose to return. Choose to speak not what is expected, but what is true. To live authentically does not mean to be unkind. It means to be whole. To express joy without guilt. To express boundaries without apology. To express pain without shame. The flower does not bloom halfway. The sun does not rise just a little. Your soul was not meant to be dimmed in the name of harmony. You were not born to be agreeable. You were born to awaken. The journey of strength is not paved with noise, but with quiet choices. Not the kind of strength that seeks to dominate, but the kind that bows inward. You have been taught to be nice, to please, to yield, to be the soft river for everyone's thirst. But the river too must be protected. Its banks must hold. Its source must be honored. In this stillness, we remember you are not here to be small. Not here to silence yourself for peace. Not here to be consumed by what others expect. Each no you whisper with calm is a seed of your truth. Each boundary, a breath of your soul expanding. Each moment you choose authenticity over approval, stillness over reaction, presence over performance, you return home. Shaolin wisdom teaches us, when the mind is still, the truth shines through like the moon in a quiet lake. So, start today, not by becoming more, but by shedding what you are not by running ahead, but by sitting still and watching what remains. Breathe, observe, choose gently. That is the beginning of true strength. Thank you for listening. May you walk your path not in the shadow of others, but in the quiet clarity of your own light.